So let's get started with the advanced LangChain. So first of all, we will see what is LangSmith. It is one of the most important component in our application. So we will start with what is LangSmith and why do we need the LangSmith. So the LangSmith is actually an observability tool. It's a platform which you can plug in with your application or you can use along with your application so that you can monitor your application and you can track all the calls which are going in your application. So it's an part of the LangChain enterprise suite. Okay, so if we talk about the various features, first of all, what we can make use of LangSmith is that since we are building large language model based applications, so we will be sending requests to the LLMs and we will be getting some response out of it, right? Prompt and completion. So if you want to see what exactly, because when we develop these applications, we actually make use of lot of things, right? We use prompt template and we have some variables and then we pass the values. So there are a lot of things which are created dynamically. So in the end, if you want to see what exact text is going to my LLM and what is coming out as a part of completion, you can basically go to the LangSmith and you can see the exact input and output. So in nutshell, what it can help with, it can track all the requests which are going to my large language model. Second advantage or second use of LangSmith is that since we are building applications using chains and chains are made up of different components, so what we can do is with the help of LangSmith we can track basically what is input and output of each of the individual component. Okay, one thing I would like to highlight here that as you can see on the screen, the chains and runnable sequences, these are the two terms which has similar meaning. Okay, so initially the LangChain community started to use this word chains, but now they are using the runnable sequences more than the word chain, although they have same meaning. So the chains are also called as runnable sequences, this is what I want to say. And this because the chains are made up of the different components which are runnable. Okay, so this is, the chain is nothing but a sequence of the runnable components. So they have started calling chains as runnable sequences also. So as a second key feature of the LangSmith, what I would like to say is this is mainly used to track not only the LLM request but also what is going in and coming out of each and individual component of my chain. Okay, so that helps me to debug my application. If something has gone wrong, then it's very difficult to find out what has gone wrong in, if you are developing some complex applications. So we can go to the LangSmith uh, platform and we can exactly see what was input to my each component and what is coming out of the each component. Okay, so that helps to debug my applications and also to monitor. The third thing is it can help us to monitor concurrent operations. So what are concurrent operations? This we will see in maybe 2 or 3 videos coming from now. So but for the time being, just understand that this LangSmith can also be used to monitor the concurrent operations. And the fourth is like it can help us to monitor the token usage. So if you go to the LangSmith, it will tell you how many were the input tokens and how many are the output tokens. So that since the cost is not based on the number of requests, in case of these LLM applications, the cost is based on the number of tokens being consumed and the number of tokens being produced by our LLMs, large language models. So the LangSmith will clearly tell us how many tokens were consumed, how many were produced. So this will essentially help us to control the cost or to monitor the cost associated with our application. So these are the key features. Overall, this LangSmith is nothing but it helps us to give us some valuable insights into the usage and performance of LLMs within your applications. Moving forward, so now we have seen what is LangSmith. Okay, now we will focus more on why do we need to monitor our LLM applications. So in the last series, we have seen how we can join the different components using LCell to create one chain, but those were very simple chains. If we talk about advanced chain, when we will be building the advanced chain in this series, what will happen is we will have multiple components. Okay, so the advanced chain, the requirement of monitoring and debugging what is going in and coming out of each component becomes more important when we are dealing with the complex workflows or advanced chains. Okay, and one of the most primary reason is that LLMs are non-deterministic. So when I say non-deterministic, that means what is going inside the large language model, what is going inside GPT 4.0 or any other large language model is something which nobody knows. Okay, so it has neural networks, it has weights, but if you give some input, what output will come, I mean, why that output has been produced, nobody knows, because this is a black box for us. This is against our traditional approach where, or the language, for example in Python or Java, when we write any function or we write any method, if we know what is my input, then I am 100% certain what will be my output. If I know the logic of my function, if I know what code I have written in a function, and if I also know what is input to my function, I am 100% certain what output I am about to get. But this is not the case with the LLMs because they are non-deterministic. So since LLMs are non-deterministic, it becomes even more useful that we should be using such a platform like LangSmith to monitor our applications. Maybe if our LLM is not giving a correct response, then maybe I should be using some other large language model. So the current large language model in my application may not be the best suited for the use case, right? So I may need to replace my LLM, or I can also see whether there is something wrong with the other components. So this is being used to monitor more complicated applications. Okay. Uh, Second point is track complex workflows within multiple API calls and concurrent tasks, make it easier to diagnose and optimize LangChain. Okay, so these are a couple of things which basically tells that why we should use the something called LangSmith. Okay, so this diagram actually shows, uh, this diagram tells me this is my request and this is my response and this is a lang chain. Okay, so this lang chain may have some parsing, it may be doing some LLM calls, transformations, retrievals, and API calls. So although my LLM itself is non-deterministic, but what is going inside my lang chain, I should know actually, so that I can, I can debug my applications, I can tune my applications for the better results. All right, so this is all on why we should monitor our applications, and next, we will directly jump into how we can set up our LangSmith, and then we will write some code, and we will go to the platform to see how we can see all these things in action.